Dear students, in this session we are going to study regarding a classification, which is nothing but one of the important concept in data mining. We will first see what actually a classification is. The definition of a classifier is given a collection of records that we call them as a training set. Our model has to predict, that is, it has to map each attribute set X into one of the predefined class label Y. That is, whenever a training set is given, it will be in terms of X comma Y, where X is the attribute set and Y is the class label. And there are multiple names for X. X is also known as a attribute, a predictor, a independent variable, and a input. So these are the various names interchangeably used for X. In the similar way, for Y we can use the names like class or a response or dependent variable or output. We will see what are the examples of classification tasks. Classifier can be used for categorizing the email messages, or it can be used for identifying the tumor cells, or it can be used for cataloging the galaxies. First, let's see how actually a classification is used in email messages. That is, whenever a email reaches us, what we can do is, based on the header and the message content, we can say that whether it belongs to a spam or non-spam. Then we have classification can be used for identifying the tumor cells, that is whether they belong to a class of malignant cells, whether they are the malignant or they are the benign cells. That is, here we are going to consider a features extracted from MRI scans. Whenever a patient goes through MRI scans, a report will be developed, right? In this report we are going to consider the some of the important features, and based on these important features we can say whether the person is having a malignant cells or benign cells. Then next one is cataloging the galaxies. Here a model will be provided with a telescopic images over here, and based on this features extracted, our model will be able to say whether a particular galaxy belongs to a elliptical galaxy or a spiral galaxy or a irregular shaped galaxies. Here we will consider a general approach for building classification model. As I have already said, our main intention in classification is building up a model. For construction, for the construction of this model, we require two things. One is training set, other one is your learning algorithm. When we have these two things, we will prepare a model. Then once a model is prepared, we have to test it whether the model has been correctly developed or there are some loopholes in that. Right, now we will see what is the difference between a training set and a testing set. Training set has two things. As we have already seen, it is having a combination of x comma y, where x is your attribute 1, attribute 2, attribute 3 over here, whatever we have over here, that is nothing but your x value, and class is a y value over here. So two things will be known to us, and that will be given as a training data to our model. Then during the testing phase, we will just consider the x values like attribute 1, attribute 2 and attribute 3. Based on these three values, our model has to predict for which class a particular instance belongs over here. Then there are lots of classification techniques. We have base classifiers, in that we have decision tree based methods, rule based methods, nearest neighbor, neural networks, deep learning, naive Bayes and Bayesian belief networks, support vector machines. So these are all the base classifiers. Apart from this, we have ensemble classifiers, a sophisticated classifiers, wherein we make use of concepts like boosting, bagging, random forest. So these are the some of the ensemble classifiers. But we will restrict our discussion only for decision tree based methods. This is an example of a decision tree. Here what we have done is we have created a model, as we have already discussed. That is, the main important thing in a classification is to have a model. Once model is done, then next thing is validating, testing, all these things is going to happen. Now we will see how actually this decision tree has been constructed. This decision tree has been constructed based on this training data. If we had been provided with something else training data, then we could have ended up with some different decision tree. The decision tree will be something different from this. Now, for this particular training data, this is what the decision tree what we have got. Now we know that each and every tree has its um root node. It will be having a intermediate nodes, and it will be having a child nodes over here, or the leaf node. Now we'll see how actually we have got homeowner, right? Homeowner, we have considered it as a root node, but directly we cannot go up with taking like first node will be the root node, second will be the second intermediate node, next we'll be having annual income as the third intermediate node. It's not like that. There are some criteria based on which we are going to decide which one will be the root node, which one will be the next intermediate nodes, all these things. But for simplicity, we have considered the first attribute as the root node over here. And you can see over here we have different kind of attributes, like we have categorical attribute values, then we have continuous one. Categorical attribute values, you can consider example of a homeowner which is having the values as yes or no. Then we have another one categorical attribute which is a marital status. So marital status can have the values like single, married, or diverse. Then we have annual income, which is a continuous attribute which is having a n number of values. It can be like a person might earn 125k, 100k, 70k. It depends on his ability and what kind of job is doing over there, right? So here we have considered an example, like whenever a person is applying for a bank, then the bank manager is going to decide whether the application has to be rejected or accepted based on some criteria, right? This might be the criteria which he is going to look for over here, right? He might be looking for whether a person is a homeowner, that is whether he is owning his own house, and he will be looking at the marital status. Then next one is the annual income, right? So these are all the attributes which a bank manager is going to look, and then he's going to decide whether the loan has to be approved or not. But in this, what we'll do is we will have our own model. That is, a manager is not going to decide, a model is going to decide whether the loan has to be approved or not, right? So the model will be looking at the first attribute as a homeowner, right? What is the value over there? Then it will look at the marital status, then it will look at the income, and then it is going to decide whether the loan has to be approved or not. All right. Now we will see how actually this decision tree has been constructed. So this decision tree has been constructed based on splitting attributes like homeowner, marital status, annual income, all these things. First, if I consider a homeowner as the root node, then it is having two values like either yes or no, whether the person is a homeowner or he is not a homeowner over there, right? Then we look at homeowner yes, what is the class label? We have got no. And for the fourth instance, we have got yes over here, and here we have got no. Then for the seventh instance, we have got homeowner yes, then we have got no. That is, if a person is a homeowner, directly we can say that he will not be a defaulter, he'll be repaying the loan. But the problem is with other people, like if a person is not a homeowner, and in this instance he has repaid the loan. But if we consider this instance wherein there was a person who had applied for a loan, and loan was approved to him, but he has not repaid the loan, that is he has become a defaulter, right? So for a person who is having a own home, we can say that there such kind of people are going to repay the loan. But the problem is with the people who don't own their own house, right? So based on only this homeowner criteria, a model cannot decide whether whether the loan has to be approved or not. So the model will be looking for the second attribute, that is a marital status. Here in the marital status, we have like two things are being considered over here, homeowner as well as the marital status. That is, if a person is not a homeowner, then we'll be coming over here, then we'll look at the marital status. If a person is a married one, then we can say that directly we can say that he is not a defaulter. You can see over here, no married, no, then we have no married, no, then we have no married, no. That is, whenever we have no married combination, directly we can say that such people are not going to be a defaulter, they are going to repay the loan. But the problem is with single or diverse. So by looking only at homeowner and marital status, we cannot take a decision. We have to look for other attribute, that's income as well, right? Then here we have a continuous attribute which is being split up into, like, if a person is earning less than 80k and those who are earning more than 80k, we have differentiated over here, right? If a person is not a homeowner and he is either single or divorced and his annual income is less than 80k, then such people are going to repay the loan. They are not the defaulters, right? But the problem is with such kind of people, for them loan should not be approved. So this is how the decision tree has been constructed. But for the given training instance, we might have multiple decision trees. You can see over here, instead of considering the homeowner attribute as the uh, root node, here we have considered marital status as the root node. So we will end up with different decision tree. So there could be more than one tree that fits the same data, right? We have the same data, but the thing is we have got a different decision tree. So for same data, training data, we might get more than one decision trees. Now we will see how actually a model is being applied for testing data. We know that in testing data, what will be provided is just x values are being provided to us and we should be able to determine y values. So whenever a testing data reaches a model, then it will look at the root node. What is the root node? Root node is the homeowner, and we will look at what value has been provided to us. Homeowner, homeowner attribute, then what is the value is no. If it is no, then we will directly come on to right hand side. Then we will look at the second attribute, which is the marital status. Marital status is given to us as married. Then we will come to the right subchild. Then we can say that directly we have reached a uh, leaf node, that is no. So we can write here no, right, as in defaulted to no, right? Not of looking for annual income, right? Whatever the decision tree which we have constructed over here, if such value is being provided to us, only we'll be looking at homeowner status and marital status over here, and based on this we are going to decide whether the person will be a defaulter or will not be a defaulter. Not no need of looking at the income. If we have been provided with the different values, like instead of married, if the value was like single, then we have to look at annual income as well. Next thing is decision tree classification task, right? Here we have two things. One is induction, another one is deduction. Induction is nothing but creation of this model. How the model is being created over here is it depends on two things. One is a training set, another one is tree induction algorithm. Which algorithm which we have chosen over here. Based on this, our model is being constructed. Here we have lots of algorithms. We have Hunt's algorithm, CART, ID3, C4.5, SLIQ, Sprint. So these are the various algorithms, but we will restrict only to this Hunt's algorithm in the session. We'll see how actually a Hunt's algorithm works. Let D of t be the set of training records that reach a node t. Let us assume that this is a training data that is given to us, right, which is represented with d of t. Now we'll see how actually this Hunt's algorithm works. Hunt's algorithm works on a principle like, if d of t contains records that belong to the same class y of t, then t is a leaf node labeled as y of t. That is, here we have been provided with two classes, no and yes, no and yes class over here. If you have been provided with only yes class or only no class, then we can say that whatever might be the value for homeowner, whatever might be the value for your marital status, whatever might be the value for annual income, everywhere we are going to consider it as, like, if everything was no, then we can say that they belong to no class. That is, y of t will be considered as no. Now in this scenario, we have been provided with a training instance in a such a way that we have a combination of no as well as yes. That is the second criteria. If d of t contains records that belong to more than one class, use the attribute test to split the data into smaller subsets, right? We have already done this one. We have considered some test class. Based on this, some of the instances will be reaching towards this, some will be coming towards this. Like this is the basic principle of working of Hunt's algorithm. We'll see with an example. In the initial, we'll be provided with this training data, and we will assume defaulted is equal to no. That is, we will assume that everywhere we have defaulted is equal to no. But here you can see there are 7 no's and 3 yes. So it will be like 7 comma 3, 7 no and 3 yes. Now we have to go for splitting. That is, we will consider a homeowner attribute, and we will go on splitting it, right? Homeowner attribute is having a value either as yes or no. Here we will be having some of the values will be coming over here and some will be coming over here. Some of the tuples will be reaching this side and some tuples will be reaching this side, right? You can see over here, here we have yes, 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 right? We have 3 yes. So here we have yes, right? So it will be coming, we are going to write it as 3 and 0. Why we have written 0? Because what is the combination? We have to look for combination of yes and no. No is nothing but this defaulted class, defaulted borrowed class, right? We have yes, no, one combination. We have yes, no, another one combination. Here we have yes, no, the third combination. So it will be 3 comma 0. But here we have 4 comma 3. That is, if we see no, no, how many we have such kind of things like no, no, 1, 2, then we have 3, then we have 4. No, no combination, like no, no combination, how many we have? 4. And no yes combination, how many we have? Like 3, right? This is one no yes, other one is no yes, and third one is no yes combination. So we have written 3. Now this is impure node, right? This is a impure node because it is having the some are like yes and some are no over there, so it is a impure node. So that has to be split again, right? Then we will consider other one. Then we'll go for marital status. In the marital status, when we look for homeowner and marital status, we'll be getting 1 comma 3. Then here we'll be getting 3 comma 0. That is no married. Like if a person is not a homeowner and he's married, then we know that no married combination, no married, no, then we have no married, no, then we have no married, no. So here we have 3 comma 0, which is again a pure set node of dividing this again, but we have to split this node, right? We have to consider other one attribute, that is a annual income attribute, which we are going to take over here. And when I divide this into sub nodes over there, then we'll be having combination 1 comma 0, 0 comma 3 and 3 comma 0, which is the pure set. When we get a pure set, this is one of the criterion for stopping of the splitting. Now we'll consider design issues of decision tree induction. What are the problems which we are going to face and how we are going to solve it? How should training records be split? Like whenever a training set is given to us, what are the various ways in which we can go for splitting? Method for specifying test condition depends on attribute types, right? We are going to see this in the next slide. Then we have measures for evaluating the goodness of a test condition, that is whether particular testing criterion whatever we have taken, whether it is good or not good, and it depends on some criterion which we are going to see in the uh, further slides over there. How should the splitting procedure stop? In the previous example, in this example, when we have stopped it, when we have got a pure set, right? Stop splitting if all the records belong to the same class or have identical attribute values. If we have same attribute values, then we have to stop it, or else when we get a same class in the particular child node, then we have to stop. And apart from this, there is another way of stopping the splitting criterion, that is a early termination. That is, we are going to stop like when we reach a third depth or the fourth or the fifth depth, we have to stop whatever might be the values, whether it is having a mixture of multiple classes, whether it is having different attributes or not. Will not look for anything. Just if it reaches the fourth depth or fifth depth, whatever we have mentioned during the initial criterion, it is going to terminate. Then methods for expressing the test conditions. There are various attribute types, like we have binary values, nominal values, ordinal values, and the continuous values. And apart from this, okay, which we are going to discuss in the next slide, then we have depends on number of ways to split. Like whenever we have a test condition, it depends on two ways. That is whether it is a two-way split or whether it is a multi-way split. First, let us consider a nominal attribute. Right, a nominal attribute example which we can take over here is a matter status. Matter status has either the value as single or a diverse or a married. Right, multi-way split is nothing but a split wherein we are going to divide a node into multiple ways. Right, then we have a binary split. The same matter status attribute is divided into two subset, that is marital status. What we have taken over here is like on one side we'll be taking a married, like those who are married they'll be coming under this side, and those who are either single or divorced they'll be coming or here on other side. Or what we can choose is single on one side, married and divorced on other side, or single and married on one side and divorced on other side. That is, the marital status is converted into a binary split. Next one is test condition for ordinal attributes. Ordinal attributes are the attributes wherein we have to preserve the order, like shirt size. Shirt size has the values like small, medium, large, and extra large. So these are the various size for the shirt, right? Then this is your multi-way splitting, wherein we are going to split like those shirt which are having a sizes small, they'll be coming under this side, right? Medium, large, extra large, they'll be coming under a respective side over there, right? If another one important thing is there are some algorithms, there are some decision tree algorithms which say that the splitting should be a binary like your Hunt's algorithm, right? Wherein we cannot go for multi-way splitting. Then what we have to do is we have to convert this attribute into a binary split, like small and medium on one side, large and extra large on other side, or else we can have small on one side and medium, large and extra large on other side. But we cannot have such kind of combination like small and large on one side and medium and extra large on other side, because this medium it comes in between small and large, but we have taken medium on one side and large we have taken on left hand side, so this should not happen. So this grouping violates ordering property. We should be very careful regarding this. Next one is test for continuous attributes. Attributes like your annual income, which comes under your continuous values, wherein if the here we have chosen a value like 80k. If a person is earning more than 80k, he'll be coming under this side. If he's earning less than 80k, he'll be coming under this side, right? So this is your binary split. And for this annual income we can have a multi-way split. That is, if a person is earning less than 10k, he'll be coming under this. If the person is earning in between 10k to 25k, he'll be coming under this, right? Like this, if a person is earning more than 80k, he'll be coming under this side. Then we have splitting based on continuous attributes. Different ways of handling continuous attributes. One is a discretization, wherein to form an ordinal categorical attribute, which is like ranges can be founded by equal interval bucketing, wherein we are going to consider values in such a way that in each side we'll be having, like if there were 50 instances, like when we are going for multi-way splitting, at each side we'll have 10 10 10 instances over there. Then we have a lot of things like static and dynamic. Static and dynamic is equal interval is nothing but we are going to divide it into, like if you have 50 in if you consider the salary of a person, it let us assume that it ranges from 0 to 10k, then we can divide it into 10 equal slices, right? 0 to 1k in one side, 1 to 2k on other side, 2 to 3k on other side. Like this we can go for equal interval slicing, or else we can go with equal frequency slicing, wherein at each node we should be having same number of count, or else we can go for clustering. Then we have static and dynamic clustering, wherein in static we at the starting we are going to decide, okay, we are going to have only this many number of classes. In dynamic we are going to have like it varies. Then we have binary decision, which we have considered over here, right? Annual income is greater than 80K or not. So that's an example of your binary decision. Then how to determine the best split, right? Given a set of record, we have to divide it into such a way that it is giving us a best uh, best classifier, right? Before splitting, let us assume that we have 20 records. 10 records belong to class C0 and other 10 are belonging to class C1. Now here we have been provided with gender attribute, card type and shirt size. If I consider a gender attribute, then it is consisting of males and females, right? If you consider a gender attribute, for male consider them as yes, and for female consider them as no, right? When we consider a gender attribute, then what's going to be the thing is, here we have first six people who are male and they belong to class C0. Then we have a transaction 11, 12 and 13 wherein they are males, they belong to class C1. So C0, first 6 they belong to class C0. Then we have 11, 12, 13, 14, they belong to class C1. So 4 is a count over here. In the similar way for females, C0, how many females we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 belong to C0 class and 6 belong to class C1, right? This is when we have taken a gender attribute for distinguishing. Then we have car type, right? Car type, again we have values like family, sports and luxury. If I take this car type attribute and go for splitting, then we have family, sports and luxury, which is a multi-way split over here. Then when we have when we consider this family car, then there's one person who is having a family car who belongs to class C0, and there are three people who own family car and they belong to class C1. In the similar way, we have taken a customer ID attribute. Their customer ID is a ID which is a unique thing that is given to each and every one, right? For each and every person, we are going to have a unique ID. Then when we consider this unique ID, we'll be getting the splitting in terms of like this, right? C1, a person will belong to only one class. At a time he will not be belonging to, he or she is not going to belong to two different class at the same time, right? So here we are getting a pure set. Which test condition is the best? Here in this scenario, this is the best, but if you consider there are lakhs together customers, then we will be having lakhs together splitting. So that is not the correct idea. We'll be looking at a greedy approach for best split, right? That is, need a measure of node impurity. We are going to check what is the impurity at the given node. If I consider at this particular node there are 5 people who belong to class C0 and the 5 people who belong to class C1. High degree of impurity because it is having a mixture of 5 people from C0 and it is having a 5 people from C1. So it is having high degree of impurity. When we compare it with this C0, like 9 people belong to class C0 and one person is belonging to class C1. And then here we have low degree of impurity because many people belong to same class but one person is belonging to some different class over here. If I had a third node which is C0 is 10 and C1 is 0 over there, then we can say that it is of uh, high purity over there. Now based on this measures, like these are the various measures for finding the node impurity, which we will be discussing in the next class. Thank you.